Good morning. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar for IPM performance for the month of August. First of all, I apologize for the delayed release of data this time, but we have managed to release the data yesterday, and I'm sure you would have gone through it. Today, we will be going through a little bit crisp analysis of how the month has performed, what has driven the growth of the market, and which are the brands and companies which have led to this performance of the market. Okay. So the agenda for today, the points that we will be covering today are, we will be looking at the IPM therapy performance, the strong growth subgroups, the growth drivers, the top 40 corporates, the top 40 brands, and the key takeaways. So if I were to look at the IPM performance for the month of August, the IPM has grown by 6.3% in terms of value, whereas unit growth has almost stagnated. While the overall growth of the market is around 6.3%, it is the cardiac, anti-infectives, gastro, anti-diabetes segment, which are among the top segments in the IPM and have shown a relatively better growth than the IPM. One thing to note is about the gastro segment. This segment has shown a positive value growth as well as a very robust unit growth in comparison to the unit growth of the rest of the segments. So while this growth seems to be relatively lesser, what we have tried to do today is we have tried to look at, have all the subgroups in these respective categories, have they performed in a similar way, or are there certain subgroups which have pushed the growth of that particular supergroup? So before even going to the analysis, I will just take you through the approach that we have followed. So while doing the analysis of the strong growth subgroups, what we have done is we have shortlisted the subgroups within each supergroup. So when we talk about a supergroup, it is a category like cardiac, anti-diabetes, etc. So we have shortlisted those subgroups which have a turnover of 100 crore plus. We have looked at the value growth for the month, whether it is greater than or equal to supergroup value for the month. So that if it is greater than or equal to supergroup value of the month, then it is that subgroup which has pushed up the growth of that supergroup. Then, once we have identified these subgroups, we have done a further evaluation of these subgroups and evaluated the shortlisted subgroups on long-term basis. That is, we have looked at the MAT August growth as well as the 5-year value CAGR. So, is it that only for the month the subgroup has done well, or for a period of 1 year the subgroup has done well, or it's a long-term high growth that the subgroup has been showing? Then we have looked at, if these in a category there are certain subgroups which have really done well, how much do they actually contribute to that category? So how much percentage contribution of subgroups of those categories have pushed up the growth for that supergroup? Probably things will get more clearer as I show you the numbers. And then we have done this exercise. We have almost 20 supergroups in the pharma track audit. We have done it for the top 11 supergroups, which contribute to almost 90% of the Indian pharma market. So coming to the cardiac. So let me take you a little more detailed for this first section. So in the cardiac category, this is the category value of close to 27,000 crores. Now there is 44% of the value contributing subgroups which have shown a growth which is higher than the cardiac category, higher than or equal to than the cardiac category. So the cardiac category for the month of August has shown a growth of 9.7%. But these subgroups that I'm showing to you now are the ones which have shown a growth which is relatively higher than the cardiac category growth. Now, which are the ones? Antihypertensives, which is a major contributing category for the cardiac segment. If you see telmisartan combinations, telmisartan cilnidipine combinations, a good amount of them have shown growth which is better than the cardiac category growth. And we have also tried to look at the growth of these segments on a MAT basis. Majority of them have shown a very good growth at a MAT level. Also, if I were to look at the 5-year CAGR, barring this metoprolol plus amlodipine segment, most of them have shown a very encouraging growth at a 5-year CAGR as well. Then we have lipid-lowering drugs, the rosuvastatin, atorvastatin combinations. All of them, or a good chunk of them, have managed to show a very good double-digit monthly growth. Also, their MAT growth is quite encouraging, and their 5-year value CAGR growth is also quite encouraging. Now, does not total to 44% because the cardiac category also has a good number of other subcategories. But this much would be collectively somewhere around 30% plus. So almost 30% plus contributing antihypertensives and lipid lowering drugs, they actually have shown a growth which is much better than the cardiac category growth. Then there are other smaller subgroups, relatively smaller subgroups like in the platelet aggregation inhibitors like ticagrelor, then anti-anginals, diuretics, heparins, antithrombotic agents, heart failure therapies, cardiac therapy, fibrinolytics, antihypertensive agents. Now, not all molecules in these categories have shown a high growth, but then there are certain molecules within these categories which have managed to show a monthly value growth which is much higher than the cardiac category growth itself. Again, what we need to see is the MAT growth for these categories as well as the 5-year CAGR. So majority of them or almost all of them have shown very good long-term growths. Long-term growth in the sense for the last 1 year as well as for the last 5 years as well. Now, when we talk about last 5 years growth, probably some component of COVID also may come into the picture because platelet aggregation inhibitors, heart failure therapies, somewhere, in COVID times, their growth had spurted up. So I will not discount that growth. However, if I were to look at the MAT growth, it actually says that there is an increase in demand for these categories even in the post-COVID period. Then coming to the anti-infectives. Now, if I were to look at the anti-infectives, antibacterials anyways contribute to a major section of the anti-infectives. What is interesting to see over here is the anti-infectives which or the antibacterials which we have shortlisted over here, a good number of them are hospital anti-infectives which have shown a monthly growth which is much higher than the overall anti-infectives category growth. Also, in terms of long-term period growth, the MAT growth as well as the 5-year value CAGR growth is very positive for these. Now, if I were to look at this section in terms of value contribution would be around 32% to the overall anti-infectives category. So almost 32% of the value contributing subgroups in the anti-infective category have shown a growth which is much higher than the anti-infective category. Then we have certain smaller categories like antifungals, antivirals, antitubercular products, which have also shown an encouraging growth. Coming to the gastrointestinal section, again, this section was the one which we talked in the beginning as a section which has shown a good positive value growth as well as unit growth. In the gastrointestinal section, almost 41% of the chunk of the value contributing subgroups have shown a growth which is much higher than the monthly growth. So pantoprazole, esomeprazole and combinations have shown very good growth. Now pantoprazole itself contributes to almost 7% of the gastrointestinal category. Then we have certain laxatives, probiotics, anti-infectives and antidiarrheals. They have also shown a very good and positive monthly value growth. Now, gastrointestinal segment is one segment which has got a lot of subcategories. And in each subcategory, there are certain molecules which have shown good growth. So we have products in the or molecules in the antispasmodic section, hepatobiliary disorders section, antinauseants and antiemetic sections, hepatic protectors, digestive enzymes, oral electrolytes. This section is the one which has shown really very good growth in terms of month, MAT as well as the 5-year CAGR. So then in this category, the gastrointestinal category, we have, though in terms of percentage value contribution, it may look as 41% value contributing subgroups to the gastro, but in absolute numbers, the number of subgroups within the gastro category which have grown better than the gastro category itself is on a relatively higher side. Coming to the diabetes section. Now, in diabetes section, after many of the molecules went off patent, a good number of combinations came in with metformin as well as combinations with DPP-4, SGLT2 and metformin. So the combination which has really shown a very robust growth is the Sita plus DAPA plus metformin combination and the DAPA plus sitagliptin combination. Now these two combinations for the month have shown a very robust growth. Now, since the launch date is October 22 and it has not completed 5 years, that's the reason why we are unable to show the 5-year CAGR for these two combinations as well as this combination or this molecule. So net in the OAD combination segment, combinations with DAPA have shown very encouraging growth. Also, CETA plus metformin for the month has shown a 20% growth. For the MAT, also the growth is on a higher side. If I were to look at the OAD's plain semaglutide molecule, which is making waves in the market today, continues to grow at a very robust monthly growth as well as the MAT growth. Also, certain categories within the insulin segment have shown very good and strong month growth as well as MAT growth as well as 5-year CAGR growth. Coming to the nutritional segment. Now in nutritional segment again, though the overall growth of the nutritional segment is on a slightly lower side, it's just 2%, but almost 38% of the value contributing nutritional segment has grown much better than the nutritional segment overall growth. So it is the cholecalciferol, the methylcobalamin combinations, they are the ones where the growth is on a relatively higher side. Now total it's around 38%. Not all of them have shown a very robust 5-year CAGR growth, or not all of them have shown a very robust MAT value growth. But then there are certain 3 to 4 subgroups within this where the growth is relatively robust. For example, cholecalciferol or methylcobalamin combinations, plain methylcobalamin, these are the ones where the growth is on a relatively robust side for the month as well as MAT period. Again, we have within the nutritional segments, we have nutraceuticals, calcium products, appetite stimulants, biotin combinations, mineral supplements. Now, biotin combinations is something which is the most talked about nowadays, which has shown a relatively good growth in terms of 11% for the month and 12.8% at a MAT period. Cholecalciferol, folic acid, methylcobalamin, and pyridoxine combination is one combination where we are seeing a very encouraging growth in all the 3 time periods, month, MAT, as well as 5-year CAGR. Coming to the respiratory segment, which is again a very strong segment, or it's among the top 10 top 10 supergroups of the Indian pharma market. We see that montelukast and montelukast combinations, they have really shown very good growth in terms of month, MAT, as well as value. Over here, glycopyrronium, formoterol, and budesonide combination, which is a relatively newer combination. It has not yet completed 5 years. That's the reason why we don't see a 5-year CAGR. But this combination seems to have picked up really well and continues to show a very robust growth even after 3 to 4 years of launch. Montelukast plus bilastine. This is one combination which in terms of 5-year value CAGR, the CAGR seems to be pretty robust. Even in the cough and cold segment, we have chlorpheniramine, phenylephrine, paracetamol, and other chlorpheniramine combinations which have shown relatively robust growth. If you see all of them, the growth is quite strong. Here it is 44%, 64% for the month. And these many of them have also shown a robust growth at a MAT period as well as for the month. Coming to the pain and analgesic segments, analgesics, when it comes to analgesics, it is paracetamol and paracetamol combinations only. But then there are certain paracetamol combinations, whether it is with mefenamic acid or thiocalcicoside plus aceclofenac. These are the ones which have shown very good growth for the month of August. Also, trypsin, chymotrypsin combination, the growths are quite double digit for all the 3 time periods. Analgesics, actually they contribute to a significant chunk. However, if I were to look at the overall growth of the pain and analgesic segment, it is 3.4% because this high growth subgroup or subgroups which are showing relatively high growth, the contribution of them, the value contribution of them to the pain and analgesic segment is only 17%. So it is just a smaller chunk of the pain and analgesic segment which is doing relatively better for the month of August. Coming to the derma, again for derma, if you see 31% of the derma segment value contributing derma segment is doing better than the overall derma segment. While the growth for the derma segment is close to 8.5%, it is the emollients which contributes to almost 11% of the derma segment, which has shown excellent growth in for all the 3 time period. Now, after emollients, the next segment which is really showing good growth are the kojic acid combinations, and in the hair care products, it is the minoxidil plus finasteride combination which is showing a very good double-digit growth. There are also, we have anti-dandruff products where the market is around 123 crores, but then the growth in all the 3 time periods is very strong and double-digit growth. So while derma segment has grown by 8.5%, within derma segments, there are chunks where the growth has been extremely positive and extremely robust. Coming to the next segment, which is the neuro segment. Within the neuro segment, it is the anti-epileptics, which is the strongest contributing chunk in the strongest contributing chunk in the neuro segment. Now, levetiracetam, which contributes to almost 8% of the neuro segment, has grown better than or almost equal to the neuro segment. Also, brivaracetam is another molecule which has shown very good double-digit growth in all the 3 time periods. So within anti-epileptics, though there may be a good number of molecules, but then there are a few molecules where the growth has been encouraging. Now, besides anti-epileptics, we have antidepressants, drugs for neuropathic pain, atypical antipsychotics, anxiolytics, anti-migraine preparations. A few molecules from each of these have shown very good and encouraging double-digit growth. Also, the 5-year MAT growth has been quite encouraging for these molecules. So, next coming to the gynaec segment. Now, in gynaec segments, though the gynaec segment has grown by 2.6%, there is almost 36% of the gynaec segment, value contributing gynaec segment, which has grown higher than the overall gynaec segment. Now, while I say that this is a huge chunk which has grown better than the gynaec segment, then the next question usually comes from the industry is then why should the gynaec segment grow only by 2.6%? The logical answer for this is the other subgroups, which are almost 60-65% contributing subgroups, their growth is on a relatively lower side, or in many places it may be negative, because of which the overall growth of the gynaec segment has gone down. So dihydrogesterone, which is a molecule in which majority of the companies or many new entrants have made strides over here, this segment continues to grow in all the 3 time periods. In fact, the 5-year value CAGR is very robust in this category. Then in uterotonics, we have mifepristone, misoprostol, and mifepristone plain, where the growth has been relatively robust. So in gynaec segment, it is probably this dihydrogesterone which has really made a difference to the growth of the gynaec segment, because its contribution itself is close to 15% to the overall gynaec segment. We also have done a similar analysis for the blood-related group. It became important for including the blood-related group because we have this FCC complex where many of the brands have started entering. This complex has shown a very good growth in all the 3 time periods. Also, ferrous ascorbate and folic acid has shown very good growth in the 3 time periods. In the anti-anemic preparations, also we have epoetin and darbepoetin alpha. Both of these combinations or both of these molecules have shown very good double-digit growth. In fact, while the blood-related group has grown by 8.7%, these categories have grown by 20% plus in the market for the month. And if I were to look at the growth for the MAT period, it's also quite good and positive. This was all about the top or the subgroups which are driving the growth for those categories or those supergroups. So while we end up saying that, the supergroup growth is single digit, or, it's not as high as it was for the previous month, we have identified certain molecules in each of the supergroup where the growth has been high for the month, and it has been high for a relatively longer time period when we look at the MAT or the 5-year CAGR. Coming to the growth drivers, for the month of August, this is the growth driver section for the month of August 24. The volume growths have been negative, or I would say static, The growth is driven majorly by the price growth as well as the new introductions. If I were to look for the month of August, how does the growth driver picture look like? Anti-infectives is is the only section amongst the top categories where the volume-driven growth is relatively stronger. In all other categories, the volume-driven growth is either minuscule or negative, and majorly it is the price or the new introductions that have driven the growth of these segments. Coming to the top 40 corporates, while the IPM growth has been close to 6.3%, obviously the top 40 corporates, they contribute to more than 80% of the IPM. So more or less, this 6.3% growth reflects to the growth of all the top 40 players. But then there are outliers as well. So among the top 1 to 20 players, Torrent, Intas, and Aristo, they shine out as companies where the value growth for the month has been double digit. And in case of Aristo, the value for the unit growth also is double digit. So among the top 20 players, Aristo comes as a company which has shown a double digit growth both in terms of value as well as units. Coming to the next set of players, FDC, Himalaya, Hetero, Bharat Serums, Forts, Natco. These are the companies which have shown a double digit value growth. And besides value, certain companies like FDC, Forts, and Natco, they have shown a double digit and a very robust unit growth as well. Coming to the top 40 brands, Augmentin and Glycomed GP continue to sustain their number 1 and number 2 position for the MAT period. However, interesting thing is Lu 52 has moved to the number 2 position for the month of August. Among the top 20 brands, there are a good number of brands which have shown a robust value as well as unit growth for the month of August. So brands like Liv 52, Rosuas, Monosef, Udiliv, Thyronorm, Budecort, Orofor XT, Rhizodec, they have shown double-digit value as well as unit growth. In the next set of 20 brands, Electral has shown a very good growth in terms of value as well as units. Pantop, Ribelsis, Mikasin, Tresiba, all of them have shown excellent double-digit value as well as unit growth. To summarize, the IPM has shown a value growth of 6.3%, with most of the therapies showing a positive value growth. There is a significant chunk of molecules or molecular combinations within each supergroup that have shown growth for the month, which is much higher than the supergroup growth and have driven the growth for those respective categories. New introductions and price growth have continued to be positive, whereas volume growth is static for the month of August. For the month of August, again, majority of the top players have shown a positive value growth. However, there are a few players where the growth is not just a single-digit positive growth, but a double-digit positive growth. Augmentin and Glycomed GP continue to retain their leadership position for the MAT period, and interestingly, U52 moves to the number 2 position for the month of August 24. That's all from our side, and thank you for joining us today in our webinar. And any feedback, any suggestions, please feel free to revert to us. Have a nice week ahead. Thank you so much.